Number 4. I hope that helps. Sometimes I'm covering things and I'm like, wow, this should be like a much longer answer, but I already talk forever. So number 4, Terry Dufillo says, Exodus 33:20, no one can see my face and live. How do we reconcile this with Exodus 33:11? The Lord would speak to Moses face to face as to a friend. Thank you. Love your ministry. Oh, you're very welcome, Terry. Let's look at these 2 passages and I will offer some thoughts. 33:20. As always, context is key here, and context is not secret code for taking things out of context, where you context, and all of a sudden it doesn't mean anything that it meant, but rather it's just understanding things correctly, okay? Because the sentence is stated in a context. All right. And the Lord said to Moses, hold on, let me back up. This is what Moses wants from God. He's like, hey, my presence will go with you. I will give you rest. And then Moses says, yeah, if your presence will not go with me, don't bring us up from here, because he's fully dependent upon God. For how shall it be known that I found favor in your sight, I and your people? Is it not in your going with us, so that we are distinct, I and your people, from every other people on the face of the earth? We're going to be different than everybody because you're with us. This is Israel. What makes Israel different is God's presence with them. It's nothing they do. Verse 17, and the Lord said to Moses, this very thing that you've spoken I will do, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Moses said, please show me your glory. Now this is where he gets kind of bold, because he's not like, yeah, you'll be with us, but I want you to show me your glory. Moses, it seems to me, is asking to see a full revelation of all that God is. Show me your glory. Not give me a sample, but I want to see the fullness of all you are. And God says, and he gives him a partial revelation. He says, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. But, he said, you cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. So does Moses see God? Well, he sees God in a sense, but it's a limited sense. He doesn't see God fully, which God's using the terminology my face for my full glory. Moses will not see the full glory of God. It is not as though we're to think that God has an actual face that you could draw as an artist, that has contours, and that you can't see that, but rather that this see my face is a term referring to his full glory. I'll make my goodness pass before you. He allowed Moses to see some of him, and we see he hides in the cleft of the rock and all this kind of thing. Then we get to Exodus 33:11, which is actually, if you'll notice, we're backing up. Exodus 33:20. Sorry, we're going forward now. But wait, what am I finding wrong here? I'm going to read your question again. I'm scanning it and I'm getting it wrong. Exodus 33:20, no one can see my face and live. How do we reconcile this with Exodus 33:11? There it is. Okay, I was just looking at the wrong verse. Thus the Lord used to speak to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. Okay, here's where we have to notice context, right? Exodus 33:11 is here. Exodus 33:20 is here. 33:11, God spoke to Moses face to face. 33:20, 9 verses later, you can't see my face. Right? So, unless we think the author of Exodus is a nimwit, right? Like he's is that the right dimwit? Is nimwit a thing? Unless we think he's a fool, we have to realize he doesn't mean the same thing in these 2 verses, right? Plus, in verse 11, if speaking to God face to face meant seeing God's full glory, as we have in verse 20, if that's what it meant, then why is Moses still asking for it merely a few verses later? Whatever speaking to God face to face is, it doesn't mean seeing God's full glory, as in looking at his face. And I think we see it in the qualifier here. God would speak to Moses face to face. What does that mean? Oh, as a man speaks to his friend. In other words, conversationally. It's not that God would simply tell Moses things and Moses would receive them and write them down, but rather Moses could ask questions and God would dialogue with him. This is a rare thing. This is a special thing. When you sit with somebody and the 2 of you, it's not a lecture. You're not up on stage. Right now, we're not face to face, even though you see me. Right? This is a one-way delivery, a monologue, not a dialogue. Moses had a dialogue. That's how I see it. He also would experience the whole afterglow. He would get some of God's glory that would kind of like emanate off of him after he spent time with the Lord, but he did not see God's full revelation of his full glory. That is the balance that Exodus 33 is giving us. And then Jesus shows up and he's like, in me, you see God. You see God. And how is God glorified? In taking on our sin and our suffering and showing us his incredible love on the cross. That's what he wants you to see as this full revelation of him.